Hello and welcome to our channel. Today we are talking to Sasha Johnson about her Global Technology Symposium, which will be held on 22nd of October. Uh, Sasha, I know that you are originally from Russia, but why do you have a family name Johnson? Do you have something in common with Pete Johnson, who is one of the founders of Silicon Valley, by opinion of many people?
Well, first of all, good day, good evening. I do not know when people are listening to us. And thank you so much for having me. And well, I didn't expect our interview to start with such a personal question, but there is nothing I don't want to share. Yes, I was born in Russia in a small town of Vladivostok. And if anyone told me that one day I will be organizing the Global Technology Symposium, I would not have believed that person. And to answer your specific question about my last name, well, there are many Johnsons in the United States of America, and I would be like saying that you're Ivanovs in Russian or Ukrainian. So yeah, Pitch is a grandfather of my son. That's how I'll answer that question.
Ah, great, interesting. And how has it happened that you came to the Valley?
When when you look at someone's resume and you see all the steps a person has taken to get to where they are, it looks like it has been planned. In my particular case, I don't think, no, there was no plan. There are some things which is hard to call a coincidence, because when I was 4 years old, my two passions were figure skating and the English language, which I really loved. Its structure and the way it sounded, and that's what I wanted to study. Did I think when I was 4 years old that I will be living in California organizing such a major event? No. But if you follow your passion, life takes you to all kinds of interesting places. And I think that in my case, it was a desire to learn new things. I always was setting up goals which would take me out of the current state somewhere on an absolutely different level. And while I was still living in Soviet Union, and it was Soviet Union, I wanted to build a business, and it wasn't possible to register my little company because on paper I didn't have a business to create. Now we're talking Soviet Union when a word combination, a business degree didn't make any sense at all. So I looked into it and it turned out, yeah, there are places in the world where you can learn business. And California at that point looked like the best place to go and study business. That's what I did. That's how I came to this country originally, initially. And while I was at school and I went to UC Berkeley and I was the first Russian speaking an MBA student, that's when Soviet Union fell apart, and I stayed here and I started my life with zero, zero experience, zero. I did have some connections though. That was a wonderful thing, and I discovered my life here. And yeah, that's what it was. I wanted to learn the best business principles in the US back then, and still now is the place to be if you want to be in business.
Really interesting story. So now you have business education and you can start a company, yeah? Okay. And Sasha, as I know, you have been organizing Global Technology Symposium for 18 years already. And GTS has a reputation where very serious guys are gathering. Tell us the most memorable moments in the history of Global Technology Symposium.
Well, over 18 years, and it will be our 18th year next week. There were so many moments. I don't know. People say you should write a book. Yeah, maybe one day. Many of my friends are writing books, but I'm not there yet. So we started with topics that at the time were not popular. Like we were discussing outsourcing at a time when everything had to be done locally, for example. Then Thomas Friedman, when he wrote his famous book, The World is Flat, he wrote us a letter of encouragement to devote a symposium to that topic, which we did. So that was fascinating, just to think about the world without borders, where companies could just work with one another, with each other, and have the best talent from all over the world. So that was fascinating. And then, of course, when we had the founding fathers of the American venture capital gather on the panel, and they had to answer that one question: if Silicon Valley can be replicated. And there was this resounding no, it cannot. And that was like, yeah, 16, 15 years ago. And if you look at the world now, all kinds of things have changed. But I do remember the panel. And then last year, when we talked about venture capital as a very important ingredient of the whole Silicon Valley weave and infrastructure. And as you know, that Stanford is a great champion of teaching venture capital. And we had a dean, a former dean, Stanford dean, who introduced venture capital as a subject. And we had people who were teaching venture capital at Stanford, and of course, they're all practicing investors. And we were just talking about other people and the names who made it all possible, especially after they've spoken at the GTS many times, and the name of Don Valentine has been mentioned. And it happened exactly that half hour when Don was gone physically. So a coincidence like that his name was remembered at a time when nobody knew that we won't have him with us in the next hour. So, but what going forward? Oh, but I guess it's your next question. What will happen in the future, right? I don't know. Am I answering the next question? What I see for GTS in the future?
Not yet, not yet, probably.
Okay. I'm so used to taking interviews, so when somebody's asking me questions, I'm like, okay, all right, I need just to be quiet and answer
Okay,
questions.
I have really another question. Um, Startup.Network is the partner of the pitch event section this time, and the winners of the Unicorn Cup from 3 continents are going to pitch. And what do you think about foreign startups in Silicon Valley? Are the number of them growing? Are local VCs interested in foreign startups? To what extent? What is changing?
I will separate my answer into two parts. The first one is why the Startup Network has been selected as the partner of GTS this year. And then I'll answer you the second question, what's happening to startups pitching to Silicon Valley. Over the years, I've been to many platforms where company presentation or companies pitching to investors. And especially in the Valley, every day there will be, I don't know, a dozen events where companies are pitching to investors. And when we met, the Startup Network was just one of the platforms where companies were presenting. But then when this current state has started, which, well, half a year ago, sounds like a century ago, but it's only been 6 months. And what I've observed that the Startup Network has become a leader among the entities organizing pitching events. I don't know how you guys did that, but you've managed to have multiple countries, several continents. You had 500 or 600 companies presenting. And because I've been watching it also from inside, you invited me to several of those events. I was really impressed that you managed to change your platform to be current in these very challenging times. So to me, there was no question. Once I realized that the symposium this year will have to be virtual, and we didn't do our usual pre-pitch meetings and seminars, but I believe in the quality of what you have done, and I thought this will be a perfect partnership. Now that is why we were thrilled that you guys agreed, and the three winning companies, one from Asia, one from Europe, and one from the US, will be presenting next Thursday, October 22nd, later at the GTS platform. So that's the first part. The second one, when companies, the founders of the companies always ask that question: do I need to be in Silicon Valley? Do we need to drop everything and build our business in Silicon Valley if we want to be a global company? And usually the answer was yes, because if you are, if you're a niche player and you have a good market in your domestic uh, area, then it's okay. But if you want to be a global player, you have to be closer to the global market, and that's where Silicon Valley is. And if that's what Silicon Valley offers. And if you talk to investors, even if you talk to them half a year ago, well, I mean, it's better than what it used to be. I remember at one of the first events, GTS events, where famous investors were saying that they need to be able to bike to their portfolio company, otherwise they will not invest. And Sacramento was too far, and Seattle was too far. Oh my God, forget about New York. Now, look at us. We're all evaluating companies while being online. We look at the companies presenting from all over the world. And this is good news for global companies from anywhere in the world. If they have a solid business and, as we say, traction and enough interest from willing potential customers, be it B2B or people willing to buy, then they would always find a way to pitch to a leading Silicon Valley fund. And they don't need to be physically in Silicon Valley anymore. And this is good news. This is really good news for the companies. Because if you look at the investment numbers during the pandemics, the investment dollars in Silicon Valley, if you look at the volume, it's actually higher than it was even last year. So the investors are active and the companies have a chance to present to top funds. But then, of course, you need to know how to find them. And that's where GTS plays a role, because we work with leading companies and funds, investors listening to those three presentations. One, the company said from Asia, one from Europe, and one from the US. These investors are active and they represent the top Silicon Valley funds. And that's what we'll do next Thursday.
Thank you, Sasha. I agree that this is a really good news for international startups. And my next question is, who will be the speakers this time? Will be P. Johnson with us?
Well, Pitch has been supporting the event since its inception. And I did ask him to join the panel, and he said yes. So what I wanted to do during the panel, I wanted people who have survived is not the right word, who have been active during a crisis. Because for someone who is new to the business, maybe this crisis looks like the end of the world. But investors who've been around for several decades, these investors know that you cannot stop breathing, you cannot stop living, you cannot stop investing. And I asked our speakers to share their stories about investing, like stories from the trenches, investing during turbulent times, which some of them have seen more than, I don't know, maybe 2, 3, 4 times. And so they will be sharing the stories. Well, you already know about pitch, but there will be other known people on the panel. So I'll keep the suspense going for a little while. But yes, they will be presenting the leading Silicon Valley funds, and they promised me to be very open and yeah, and maybe maybe new investors who just want to get into venture capital or trying to get into the investment world of Silicon Valley will learn from the masters. That's what we plan to do. And that's again on Thursday, October 22nd.
Thank you, Sasha. And how do you see the future of GTS? I mean, maybe next year, maybe we can see it in 10 years into the future. What is your opinion? What do you think?
When we started the event with my partners, and they are terrific people. They all have their own companies or work for big companies. Um, and the ecosystem of GTS is so vast, people are all over the world, and that's how I can tap into the talent and the community that we learn from one another. So this year has been so different that I want to say like my plan for the next 10 years, but right now I'm overwhelmed with the desire just to see my friends in person. So if you allow me, I will not plot for 10 years. I just want to have everyone in one place, have a physical meeting, and then what this lockdown has shown that we can invest in all kinds of technologies. And like you and I even talking because like Zoom is one of Silicon Valley companies, and I'm happy for that. There is this alternative to our in-person interaction. But also, it also has shown that while we can make plans about unveiling the next big thing, and yes, we'll go to Mars, we'll do whatever, but then the value of the human interaction is something that still makes us humans. There are so many things that the technology can replace, and there are certain things that only a human interaction can give you. It's a long answer to your question. How do I see the next year? I see the next year in a company of my network, my friends, seeing everyone in person and discussing nothing less than the meaning of life. That's what I want to do. And then, of course, it's with the investment approach. Because if we, investing into technologies that make our lives better, that are responsible, and the future is bright. We just need to stay positive and adapt to changes. And that's what the GTS has shown, that for any conference to be 18 years, that's a long time. It's a long time, and it's possible only because it's a labor of love. And I have an enormous network of friends and supporters, and I can pick any of them and they will be a speaker everybody will listen to. I can invite you, I won't name names, because if I just name 3 names and then I have several thousand people, I cannot name them all. But symposium is all about people. That's what makes it so special. That's what makes it so special, and that's why I think we'll have another 10 years.
Thank you, Sasha. So I think it will be a really great opportunity to participate in Global Technology Symposium for those people who has not been there before. And really, I think it's a great opportunity. And so welcome to Global Technology Symposium on 22nd of October. So you can see it on Global Technology Symposium YouTube channel, right?
Well, I will always invite people on my Facebook whatever, they'll find us.
Yeah.
But you will have it on the YouTube where we post all the interviews.
Yeah,
And there should be a link on that. So if people want to do the YouTube, then I suggest they follow the link you post, because we have several joint projects. So let's direct people to just one place.
yeah, and of course we will be translating it on our channels on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. So
You mean you actually will provide the translation, because it will be all in English. Oh, you will be. Oh, wow. And
okay, thank you very much, Sasha. Thank you very much.
thank you, Sasha. It was a pleasure talking to you. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, see you soon.
Bye.